All righty. Hello, everybody. It is 4 o'clock, so I am going to spotlight my video. It is lovely to see you all virtually. Um, I'm just gonna sort of do a small little intro as more people come in. I know that there were lots of amazing classes and sessions and lots of fun stuff. So I'm just gonna sort of, let more people pop in. Just to slowly get started, my name is Irina Lawrence Matthias, and I am co-owner and second shepherdess in command of Flying Fibers. We are a wool and lavender farm based in York County, Pennsylvania. And both my mother and I operate this. She is currently with my 2-year-old daughter. They are up at the house having fun, and I am here to talk about all that is woolly and lovely, and what products we have to offer. This was perfect timing because we actually were shearing this morning. So we started shearing at 7 a.m. and we finished at 3:30. So this was perfect timing for me just to throw on something a little bit more presentable and come in here to talk to you all. So it seems like everybody is pretty much in now. So I'm going to get started. Usually how we structured these when we did like a whole hour, we would talk about who we are and then we talk about the products that we have. But obviously we don't have quite as much time. So I'm going to sort of condense it all into a nice little 30-minute thing. I'm going to show you lots of lovely yarns that we have. You can see some behind me as well. I'm in our shop and we can go from there. So as I mentioned before, we are a wool and lavender farm based in York County, Pennsylvania, and we raise 40 rare breed sheep, and we also have 450 lavender plants. So we like I said, we just sheared today, so we definitely have 40 sheep. And my dad was born and raised in Yorkshire, England, which is why if you are on our website, you'll notice that we do a lot of like British wool, British breeds, fun stuff like that. And that is all because of my dad. So he my mom went to go visit him when they were dating, and that she fell in love with sheep, and the whole thing just sort of turned into, you know, it just sort of became a whole thing. And so now we are um 23 years in the wool business, and we have been a brick and mortar for 14 and a half of those 20 some years. So we have a small wool shop on our farm. We were in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania before. Oh, hi. Thanks, Anjanette. We were in Lancaster County for 12 and a bit years, and then we built this shop and moved everything over here so that everybody could see the sheep and experience the lavender and just take in all of the lovely sights. So we do have some yarns that we do custom make ourselves. So we are a regular brick and mortar store. So we carry Chalgu needles, which are on our website. We also get in publications from Lina magazine as well. But we have some specialty items that we make here too. So we have yarns from our flock, of course. We raise Wensleydales, Shetlands, and Leicester long wools. And so right now we have we have wool that is at the mill. So we should be getting a really big Shetland restock in May or June, hopefully. So right now we have these lovely colors. We have a natural white from Curly, one of our rams. We've got a shade of gray brown from Chardonnay. And then we have this really beautiful sort of like gray color from Shayla the sheep. So all of our yarn we try to keep in very small batches so that you know the name of the sheep that is giving you the yarn. So we have, like I said, those beautiful ones from our Shetlands, and then we also have a worsted weight Shetland yarn in natural cream, and that is from Nancy, Hilda, and Dot, and they are all it's mother and daughters, so it's a sort of like really nice yarn. So we do have a worsted weight as well made up in that. We have two colors of our Wensleydale. We raise North American Wensleydales. So they're different than the ones you can find in England because we have bred them up. They didn't exist in this country. So kind of like the Valley Black Nose, you probably have heard of those. We imported genetic material and had babies in the States to build up to the North American Wensleydale breed. So we do have, they come in just two colors, white and black. So not as sort of like colorful as the Shetlands that come in 11 different colors and 30 different patterns, which create a whole sort of natural colored rainbow of yarn. So they do still, it's beautiful. So I'm wearing, this is a Cloudy Day Cardi by Carrie Hogue, and it's in our natural white Wensleydale. So we have natural white from Aggie and Frankie, who are also mother-daughter. And then we have this very pretty sort of silvery brown gray color, and that is from Rowan and Monica. And Monica is Rowan's mother. So Rowan is one of our wethers. We are vendors at New York State Sheep and Wool Festival in October. And so if you have been to the breed display barn, you would have met Rowan. We are in charge of the Wensleydale, North American Wensleydale sheep breed display. So Rowan gets to come because he's very tall and he's very, sort of engaging to the public, and people just love to meet him. So we do have, as you can see behind me, like a really beautiful array of flock yarns from our own sheep. We do also have some where we call it like, friends of the flock, where we buy in fleeces from other shepherds or other, shepherdesses. So we have a new sort of limited edition yarn line that we just got back in February, I think, called Crayley Crew. So it is a 50-50 Shetland and alpaca blend, and it is 50% Shetland from our flock and then 50% Shetland or 50% alpaca from an alpaca farm that's down the street from our shop. So we have 4 colors. So this one is the cream colorway, and it is more of a cream. So in comparison, when you compare it to the white, you can definitely tell that there's just a little hint of sort of a fawn color there. So these are worsted weights, 198 yards to the skein. They're really beautiful and they're super soft. So we've got cream, and then we have a camel color. So you can see that it's just a shade darker. And it is definitely like a nice warm sort of taupe color. We also have sweatshirt, which is your sort of sweatshirt gray, another really beautiful color. It's got lots of dimension. And then we have our charcoal, which is a sort of dark gray color. So all in all, a really beautiful array of natural colors. Like I said, worsted weight, 198 yards to the skein, and they are 50% alpaca, 50% Shetland. And they're just really beautiful yarns. I have a customer doing a really gorgeous cabled pattern in it right now, and it looks stunning because there is 50% wool. So you're getting the softness from the alpaca with then the structure from the Shetland wool that we put into it. So this is a really fun one. It's really beautiful, very soft. One skein would make you a hat or a pair of fingerless mitts. And of course, then, multiple skeins would make you a sweater. So those are sort of our big flock yarn items right now. We always usually get a lot more flock yarn right before Maryland. So that's where I'm hoping our Shetland yarns will be back, and it'll be a very big rainbow. But we don't do just yarns from our farm. We also have 3 commercial lines. We have our Yorkshire Medley DK, which we released in May of 2016. So it's been out for 8 years now. We also have our Yorkshire Medley Light, which we released in 2020. And then we have our Seedale yarn, which we released in 2021. And we custom manufacture these all ourselves. So this whole line behind me is all our Yorkshire Medley on display. And it is a 50% Wensleydale, English Wensleydale, 50% blue-faced Leicester blend. So the blue-faced Leicester gives it a loft and a softness, while the Wensleydale gives it a sheen and durability that you don't get with other fibers. The Wensleydale is a very, very interesting sheep that has very interesting qualities into its fiber. And overall, it creates just a really beautiful yarn. So we have one natural colorway in this called Elderflower. It's just a natural white. And then we have 15 dyed colors. So we have our reds slash pink. We've got Meadow Rue and Malton. These two are really beautiful colors. So we've got our sort of warm tones. We also have our two oranges. We have Grouse and Thornton. Grouse is definitely more of like a pumpkin color, while Thornton is definitely more of a rust. But we've got our oranges. We also have our yellows. We have Busby Harvest here on the left and Rothwell Gold on the right. Rothwell Gold is definitely like a true daffodil, very bright yellow, and Busby Harvest is more of a sort of like wheat color, and it's a very beautiful color combination. We've got our three greens. We have our Moor Shrub, which was one of our original Yorkshire medley colors when we first put it out in 2016. And then we added in a warm spring green called Winnie Moore Hops. This is sort of like a blue yellow, green yellow, which is really nice. And then in 2019, we added in Bracken, which is a sort of cooler toned, cooler toned green. And Debbie says, I think I've knit a sweater in just about every color of Yorkshire Medley. It's one of my all-time favorite yarns. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. We really like the Yorkshire Medley. It's very, it still feels quite woolly, but that little bit of extra blue-faced Leicester in it really gives it a certain like touch of softness. So it does really beautifully in textured knits as well as lace patterns. Yeah, it's quite nice. So we're gonna have to, I'll just have to, we'll have to make another 16th color, dyed color, so that Debbie has one more sweater in the Yorkshire Medley. We have our purples. We've got Ilkley Heather, which is sort of a warmer toned, sort of medium, sorry, I lost my train of thought. We have our warm toned medium purple. We have our cool toned purple in our monk's hood. And then we also have, we usually have three blues, but we sold out of the medium blue. So it's up at the house drying right now. But we have two blues here. We've got our Whitby Shale and our River-esque. And then we have one called North Sea, which is like a denim, which is really beautiful. So they're a lot of really gorgeous colors. My mom is the one who dyes it, and she is the one that creates the colors. And she works so that they all work together, so that they all sort of have a nice sort of cohesive look to them. And there's some beautiful examples of all the different colors sort of working together, whether you expected them to or not. Like even still, there's looking at the sort of reds with the yellow and the rust color together would make like a really pretty colorwork sweater. So our Yorkshire Medley is definitely a fan favorite. It's a lovely staple, and it is a DK weight. So you get 262 yards to the 100-gram skein. So one skein would make like a hat, a pair of fingerless mitts. Two skeins would make a nice sizable shawl for sure. So that's a good, a lovely yarn. We do also have a fingering weight Yorkshire Medley that we put out in 2020. The DK weight Yorkshire Medley was such a success that we just decided, hey, why not? Let's try another base. And we decided on fingering. So this is the same thing. It's a 50-50 blend of blue-faced Leicester and Wensleydale, but they are 202 yards to the 50-gram skein. So if you are doing something that has color work in it, you don't have to commit to buying like 400 plus yards. And then you're sitting here like, well, what am I going to do with the other yardage? So they are nice little 50 grammars. So we've got our natural. We have elderberry jam, which is sort of a berry color. We have our Thornton we've got Busby Harvest, we have our Moor Shrub, we have the Whitby Shale, River-esque, and we also have Ilkley Heather. So once again, a really nice sort of just palette. They work really well together and it's just a gorgeous yarn. It looks beautiful in cables, but it also looks gorgeous in colorwork knits as well. Does anybody have any questions? Please feel free to either turn on your mics and ask a question or feel free to put something in the chat. I'm pretty good at multitasking. Just let me know before I move on. I can either, I've got one more yarn line to show you, and then I can show you some of the very beautiful samples that we have in our yarns. Just give me 1 second to just go grab them. Please talk about the poncho behind me. Nora, okay, are you talking about... So this is actually a massive shawl. Nora, is this the one you're referring to? Yes, okay. So this is one of our in-house patterns. When I'm not chasing around my toddler and I'm not in my grad program, I do design on, I design with our yarns. So I put this one out in 2019. This is called a bay. Let me type it into the chat for you all. It means bee in French. And so it is a knit on the bias. It takes 4 skeins total, 2 of the color 1, 2 of color 2. And it starts out here and it's just a mix of garter and lace. And then it comes down to this really big, beautiful lace section where then there's an applied edging, a knit on edging, to then cast off with the sort of sawtooth pattern. So this is a really big, beautiful shawl. It's 1,100 yards, so it's quite nice. It's quite, it's a big one, but you can also get away with sort of doing it bandana style if you wanted like a big sort of nice shawl to sort of wrap up in. But it's just a fun little lace pattern. And then I really love the applied edging to bind off with it because I feel like then you're able to block the lace out even better. So that's on Ravelry. And then also I believe you can get the PDF on our website as well. And it's just, like I said, 2 skeins of, I did Ilkley Heather and then 2 skeins of Busby Harvest. And it's just a really fun pattern and a fairly quick knit once you get into the thick of it, believe it or not. So that's a really fun one and a really good way to show off how Yorkshire Medley also looks quite good in cables and sort of textured stitches with the lace cable detail here. So that's always a really nice one. Thanks, Julie. Oh, hey, Julie. Hey, thanks, Julie. I love when your cameras are on because I'm like, oh, hey, I know you. Okay, so we also have a third and final, sorry, my brain just went. We also have a third and final commercial line. You're very welcome, Nora. If you do have any other questions about it, please just put something in the chat or just turn on your mic and have a chat with me. So we decided we knew we wanted to make a third yarn line and we didn't quite know exactly, what we wanted to do with it. And we decided to go ahead and try a new fiber blend, still maintaining the rare breed British long wool concept, or I guess rare breed British concept. So in 2021, October of 21, we released Seedale, which is a worsted weight, 198 yards to the skein, and it is a 50% blend of Wensleydale and 50% of Manx Lockton, which is a rare breed primitive breed from the Isle of Man, which is between I believe Ireland and Scotland or like Northern England. So it's a It's got amazing, like multiple horns. Like it's got up to, you can have up to 6 horns on it. And that means little brown mouse, or mousy brown is what Manx Lockton means in the Manx language. So this is the natural base. So instead of like the white for the Wensleydale Blueface Leicester Yorkshire Medley blend, the Manx gives it this really beautiful sort of khaki color when mixed with the white Wensleydale. This is awesome because when we dye it, it creates a sort of heathered over dye look. So we have 6 colors and a natural. And so we have hawthorn, which is our red. We've got ginger biscuit, which is our orange color. We have ragwort bloom, which is our yellow. And then we've got hedgerow as a green. And you can just see that there's just a ton of dimension in these colors, even compared to the Yorkshire medley. They're very autumnal in a way. And then we also have our sea isle is our blue. And then finally we have our teasel as our purple, and then we have, like I said, the natural brown. So it's a little bit more rustic of a feeling when you're knitting with them, both visually because of how the colors have so much depth, but also how it feels. The Manx is a shorter stapled fiber. But with the Manx we were able to source versus the Wensleydale we were able to source, you still are not going to get pilling because, like, 3 sort of staples, which is the length of the fiber as it grows off the sheep. 3 staples worth of the Manx equates to 1 staple length of the Wensleydale. And it's a little bit finer. It feels more like a Shetland if you've worked with it. So it's a really nice fiber to work with in general, but the Wensleydale gives it this strength that it may be lacking. But the Manx Lockton are amazing sheep. They're very cool, but their fiber is also just as beautiful. And we were quite grateful that we were able to make the Manx and Wensleydale blend work because it is quite unusual. The colors are fantastic. We have a sweater that was published in Lina magazine issue 16 by our friend Rachel Brockman, and it was designed for Lina in ragwort bloom. It's called the Solitaire Sweater, and we have it. We have copies in our shop, but it is also an individual pattern on Ravelry now. And Julie says, Seedale's beautiful in textured patterns and cables. Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I enjoy working with it. It's a very beautiful, almost like standard worsted weight yarn. It just feels very like, like a number 2 pencil sort of thing. So those are all of the things that we do in terms of wool. We do also, as I mentioned, we have lavender. We have a lavender farm, and if you guys don't know, lavender is a natural moth repellent, and so it's really good to join in with wool. So we also have little bits and bobs from our lavender plants as well. We do like culinary teas, and then we also have little sachets and stuff, which are like a nice little extra for your throwing in your project bags and other fun stuff. Did anybody have any other questions, or did you want to see some samples of the Seedale before I go grab some stuff to show you? Because it looks like we have about 6 minutes left. So I just want to make sure I answer any questions that anybody would have. And feel free to pop them in the chat, like I said, or just turn on your mic and ask me a question. But I'm gonna go just get a sample or two to show you in the time that we have left. All right. Usually this is a lot smoother with 2 people, but like I said, my mom is entertaining my daughter right now, so we're doing what we can. So I wanted to show you how Seedale looks in both textured projects and colorwork projects. So this is Goldwing by Jennifer Steingass, and it was knit in Seedale. Ragwort Bloom was used up at the top, and then Sea Isle was used down on the body. So we do kettle dye everything ourselves. All of our Yorkshire Medley and all of our Seedale yarn is all dyed by us, as previously mentioned. And so it's nice because it's not a perfectly sort of skein dyed flat visual color. You get this sort of different depths of shades as you're knitting with it. And so some people choose to alternate their skeins to not, see that as visibly. But other times it looks beautiful if you just sort of knit with each skein as you come to it. And yeah, it's a really nice one. This is the Goldwing pattern was written for DK or worsted by Jen Steingass, on the same gauge and needles. So it just depends on if you want like a multi-season sweater or a winter sweater. This is very much a like winter sweater, but it is perfect to wear, especially at Rhinebeck last year. My mom was wearing this like nonstop because it was just so beautiful and dense because of this color work. So it just is it shows off really beautifully in color work. It also looks really nice in cables. So this is the Seedale hat. This was designed by Rachel Brockman. You'll hear me refer to her a lot on our website, on our Instagram, because she was local and then moved down to North Carolina for work, but she still really likes working with us because she grew up in this area and she loves the long wools for all that they have to offer in terms of knitted garments. So this is the Seedale hat, and it just takes one skein of Seedale, which is really nice. Really beautiful, intricate cables, quite chunky and dense, but it's still, you can see that it's a really sort of pop even on something just like the natural color, the Cuppa. So this is a really nice one, especially if you're unsure if you want to try the Seedale on a bigger garment. This is a really good introductory sort of hat to give it a go. Yeah, and Rachel's work is like amazing. So her stuff is always beautiful. And then just another example of Seedale. So this is the solitaire sweater that I was talking about. This is, like I said, this was done by Rachel in Lina magazine, issue 16, and it uses our Ragwort Bloom colorway, and you knit your sort of two bottom panels. It's got a split hem. You knit your two bottom panels and then you join and you work up, and it just is a really beautiful, very nicely textured project. And Rachel has just these really beautiful finishing things that she does. So just like this shaping up here as you're joining, where you join the front and the back, and then just this beautiful rolled neck brim. She's just got a lot of really beautiful ideas and design features. So we are always very grateful when she works with our yarn. Another Rachel pattern that was just released was the Lotta Cowl. This was released at the end of January, and it was knit in our Yorkshire Medley. So it is knit in elderflower as the main color and then more shrub as your contrast. And it's just a really beautiful cowl. You cast on here and then you start to work your way until you join it in the round so that you don't have to worry about fussing with edge, like your ends and stuff if it's a scarf. And it sits really nicely. It drapes really nicely in the Yorkshire Medley, and it's so fun because it's a very rhythmic, very progressive cable pattern where you almost get into a rhythm. You're like, yes, this is the next one. This is the next one. And it just grows. And then after blocking, you put in these applied crochet sort of rivets in the middle, which are so beautiful. And it just adds something really interesting. A lot of our test knitters actually did like a gradient where like each sort of line was its own depth of shade and did a gradated applied crochet extra, and it just is so lovely. And so that was, like I said, just released in January, and it's 2 skeins of our Yorkshire Medley for the background and then about 20 grams of the color there. So that's quite a bit of fun. But we actually are all out of time, and Vogue is very particular about this. So thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can find us at Flying Fibers on all forms of social media and also at flyingfibers.com. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Happy knitting.